This was a rush process. We are talking about national security matters with complex legislation that should be scrutinised and understood before we're forced to vote on it. That was the disappointing fact of it, that we were prepared to come back to Parliament before Christmas to make a determination, even on the migration piece, that we supported. We believe that the Immigration Minister should have more powers to send people home, to deport those who come to this country, who are here as guests and then perpetrate and spew hate. They should be sent home. We supported that, and that could have been put in place before Christmas, and we could have started the process with the government in making sure that we got the other pieces of this legislation, particularly around hate speech and those organisations that espouse it, to be able to make sure that the free speech of Australians that has been hard fought is protected. That was the ideology that we went to Canberra on, and I made it very clear to everybody and to our coalition partners that we were prepared to support the migration changes on Sunday evening, but we had serious reservations about the freedom of speech and the listing of hate organisations. We have and still wish to see Hizbat Tahrir and also the neo-Nazis removed. We wanted to make sure, but that we got the right mechanism that didn't impinge on honest Australians' right to speak. That was the fine balance, and that was where our challenge was. And so on Sunday, I made that very clear to our coalition partners that my party room had made a determination on Sunday that we could only support the migration elements of this bill. We would work constructively, but and from that we would send to the Prime Minister principles that we could agree on, that he could come back with the amended legislation, and we would work constructively. We did that on Monday and through on Tuesday, in fact getting and securing many amendments, but we were actually asked to get to a position as the bill was being put into the Parliament. That's not a fair process, that's not a proper process for your legislators to go through. We made it clear, and we made every effort to ensure that we could get both bills through, and we weren't far off, but we just didn't have that comfort and we ran out of time. And we made it clear, and I had continually had conversation with Sussan Ley to bring her along and understand our position and the sovereignty of our room, in that the process needed to respect both rooms, and that if required a joint party room or a shadow cabinet be reconvened. But the reality was our room was working to it, but on Tuesday we got to that position just around lunchtime that we didn't have enough confidence and we would not support it. Now, I told Sussan Ley and made it very clear to her that we were in a position that our party room would vote against it, and that means I would vote against it. If my party room gets to a determination, I would vote against it. She asked, out of respect, that we had amendments, if we could put those amendments, and if they were failed, then consider voting a different way. I, out of respect to her, went back to our room and we started drafting amendments. Unfortunately, the House of Representatives vote came on, and out of respect to her, our shadow ministry did not vote and actually abstained from that vote until we were able to put our amendments that could only come up in the Senate. And we stuck to our word. Those amendments were put up in the Senate. They are actually lost in the Senate, and therefore our three senators who were in shadow cabinet and our other senator in the National Party, Matt Canavan, voted against that as the will of the National Party room, as was our direction to them. That was their responsibility to undertake and to go in and to make that. And when there had been no joint party room, there had been no further shadow cabinet meeting to determine beyond the principles of what we initially took to Anthony Albanese on the Sunday, the National Party acted in good faith all the way along. We acted in good faith to get to this position. But we could not be forced into voting for a position. The National Party is our own sovereign party. And Sussan Ley cannot force us to vote one way or another. And when we have not breached any process, any procedure of the coalition, we've been respectful for then to get to a position where three of our senators who are in shadow cabinet spots are being asked to resign on Wednesday morning. I sent those three letters that our senators prepared, along with a fourth letter, on Wednesday morning to Sussan Ley. And those three letters were from those senators to resign their tenure, but I sent a letter advising Sussan Ley that if she accepted those resignations, because it would not be appropriate to, considering the circumstances we had, then our entire ministry will resign. We're not offering a resignation for her to accept or not. We are tendering our resignation. And subsequent to that, unfortunately, Sussan Ley has ignored that, and she will not, and from subsequent conversations, will not reinstate those 3 senators to the shadow cabinet positions. Therefore, the entire ministry resigned, but she has also forced the coalition into an untenable position that can no longer continue. This is not what the National Party want, but I cannot stand by and have 3 courageous senators who put their jobs on the line for no reason that has any veracity whatsoever to be disrespected, and our party processes and our decisions. That is the beauty of Parliament. That is the beauty of the democracy that we live in, that we should have the right to go there and have a difference of opinion. We accept there are processes within the coalition that we need to adhere to at times, but there was never a trigger moment for that. And if these 3 senators could not be accepted, then our coalition has become untenable. This process wasn't all Sussan Ley's fault. Anthony Albanese put her in this process, but it has been mismanaged by Sussan Ley, and there was a out yesterday to not accept these 3 resignations. She was aware of the consequences if she did, that the National Party were being forced into an untenable position around the coalition, and she still made that decision. This is not what we wanted, but can I say, just in closing before I end to Kevin, how proud I am of the men and women in the National Party room. I've been there 10 years. I have never seen our party room more united in solidarity of one another, of the courage and the conviction of the people that are there to represent the Australian people in a way that in that moment, they're prepared to do what they believe in their conscience is the right thing. That's the courage of conviction that the National Party has. That is the beautiful thing of democracy that we should always protect. And this is the most disappointing moment that we had to get to, but unfortunately we find ourselves in it. Thanks, Kevin.